My life seemed perfect. Every morning, I do wake up to the smell of freshly brewed coffee, prepare breakfast for my husband, Mark, and head to work at the local library. We lived in a cozy house in a quiet neighborhood, surrounded by friendly faces and familiar routines. Mark worked as an consultant, often traveling for business. His long hours and frequent trips were part of our normal life, or so I thought. I never suspected anything was amiss. We celebrated 7 years of marriage last summer, and everything appeared to be going smoothly. I trusted Mark completely. Our relationship was built on mutual respect and open communication, at least. That's what I believed. But one rainy Tuesday evening, everything changed. Mark left his phone on the kitchen counter while he went to take a shower. The screen lit up with a message notification. Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced at the message. It was from an unknown number, and the text read, "Can't wait to see you again. Miss you so much." My heart skipped a beat. Was this really happening? I tried to shake off the feeling. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Perhaps the message was meant for someone else, or maybe it was a joke between colleagues. But the words kept echoing in my mind. Miss you so much. That kind of language wasn't typical for work-related conversations. For the rest of the evening, I couldn't focus on anything. Mark noticed my distant behavior but assumed I was tired from work. He kissed my forehead and said, "You've had a long day, honey. Let's relax and watch a movie." I forced a smile and agreed, but my thoughts were elsewhere. The next morning, I woke up before Mark. He was still asleep, his phone next to him on the bedside table. I hesitated for a moment, then picked it up. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. It wasn't passcode protected. I felt guilty, but the nagging doubt was too strong. I opened his messages and started scrolling. What I found was devastating. There were dozens of messages between Mark and a woman named Lisa. Their conversations were intimate, filled with affection and plans for future meetings. They had been in contact for years, longer than I'd been married to Mark. One message stood out. "We've been doing this for so long. I can't imagine my life without you." Another said, "I wish we could be together openly, but you know how complicated it is." My stomach churned. How could I have been so blind? I kept reading, unable to stop. They discussed secret meetings in hotels, late-night phone calls, and even plans to run away together. It felt like my world was crumbling around me. I had trusted Mark completely, and now I realized I'd been living a lie. When Mark woke up, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, the phone in my lap. He saw my face and immediately knew something was wrong. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice tense. I didn't answer. I just handed him the phone. Mark's face turned white as he scanned the messages. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence was deafening. Then he looked at me, his eyes filled with guilt. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "Sorry?" I repeated, my voice trembling. "You've been lying to me for 7 years. How could you do this?" He tried to explain. "It started as a mistake. I never meant for it to go this far. I love you, Sarah. This was just a weakness." His words felt hollow. How could he claim to love me while carrying on a secret relationship? I felt a surge of anger. "A weakness?" I shouted. "You call betrayal a weakness? You've been living 2 lives, Mark. How many times did you lie to me? How many nights did you spend with her while I thought you were working?" Mark had no answers. He sat there, head in his hands, while I gathered my thoughts. I needed to get out of that house, away from the lies and the pain. I left the house that morning, not knowing where to go. My best friend, Emily, lived nearby, and I drove to her place. Tears streamed down my face as I knocked on her door. Emily took one look at me and pulled me inside. "What happened?" she asked, guiding me to the couch. I told her everything about the messages, Mark's confession, and the years of deception. She listened quietly, her expression shifting from shock to anger. "I can't believe he did this to you," she said finally. "You deserve so much better." I spent the day at Emily's, trying to process what had happened. My mind kept replaying memories of our marriage, searching for signs I might have missed. Had Mark ever acted strangely? Were there moments when he seemed distant or preoccupied? I couldn't recall anything definitive, which made the betrayal even more painful. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Lisa, who she was, what she looked like, and why Mark had chosen her over me. I decided to do some research. Using social media, I found Lisa's profile within minutes. She was beautiful, long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and a radiant smile. They looked happy together in the photos she posted. My heart ached as I scrolled through her feed, seeing snippets of the life Mark had kept hidden from me. I learned that Lisa worked as a graphic designer and lived in the same city. She often posted about her travels and hobbies. And there were subtle hints of her relationship with Mark, photos of dinners at fancy restaurants, weekend getaways, and even a few shots of them together, though their faces weren't always visible. One post caught my attention, a picture of a beach at sunset, with the caption, "The best moments are the ones we share in secret." My hands clenched into fists. How dare she post something like that, knowing full well she was involved with a married man? I showed the post to Emily. "This is sick," she said. "She knows exactly what she's doing. You need to confront her, Sarah." But I wasn't sure I was ready for that. Confronting Lisa felt like stepping into a whole new level of pain. When Lisa walked in, I recognized her instantly. She was even more striking in person, confident, poised, and seemingly unbothered by the situation. She scanned the calf, spotted me at the corner table, and approached with a measured stride. "Sarah," she said, her voice calm and measured. "Thank you for reaching out." I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice. "Lisa, I need to understand. How long has this been going on? Why him? Why me?" She sat across from me, her posture perfect, hands folded on the table. For a moment, she studied my face, as if assessing how much to reveal. "It started about 5 years ago," she said finally. "At a conference. We just connected." "Connected?" I repeated, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. "You mean you slept together and decided to keep doing it behind my back?" Lisa didn't flinch. "It wasn't planned. It just happened. And then it kept happening. And you never thought to stop. To tell me. To have any kind of conscience." My voice trembled, but I held her gaze. She sighed, her expression softening slightly. "I know how this looks. But it's not that simple. Mark and we have something real." "Something real?" I laughed, the sound sharp and hollow. "What's real about lies? About stealing time that should have been mine?" Lisa leaned forward, her eyes searching mine. "Sarah, I'm not trying to hurt you. I never wanted this to come out. But I also can't pretend what we have isn't meaningful." I felt a surge of anger, hard and bright. "Meaningful? You're talking about my husband. The man I vowed to spend my life with. The man who vowed the same to me." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. "I brought these," she said quietly. "Photos. From our trips. I thought maybe you should see." I stared at the envelope, my stomach churning. Did I really want to see evidence of their life together? Did I need more proof? After a long moment, I shook my head no. I don't need to see them. I need to know why. Why him? Why not find someone who wasn't already married? Lisa's lips curved into a sad smile. "Love doesn't always follow the rules, Sarah. I didn't plan for this. It just happened." "That's not an answer," I said, my voice tight. "That's an excuse." She nodded, her gaze steady. "Maybe. But it's the truth." We sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of her words hanging between us. Finally, I spoke. "What do you want, Lisa? What are you hoping to get out of this conversation?" She took a deep breath. "I don't know. Maybe I just wanted you to see that this isn't some fling. That what we have, it matters." "It matters to you," I corrected. "But what about me? What about the life I thought I had?" Lisa looked down at her hands. "I'm sorry for the pain this has caused you. Truly. But I can't stop loving him." I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. "Then I guess there's nothing left to say." She reached for my arm, but I pulled away. "Sarah." "Don't," I said, my voice cold. "Just don't." I turned and walked out of the cafe, the door swinging shut behind me. The afternoon sun felt too bright, the world too loud. I had sought answers, but all I found was more questions and a bitter certainty that nothing would ever be the same. I walked for hours, my mind racing. The images of Lisa's calm demeanor, her quiet confidence, replayed in my head. She hadn't apologized the way I'd expected, not with tears or remorse, but with a quiet certainty that what she and Mark had was worth fighting for. That thought stung the most. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't begging for forgiveness. She was defending her right to be with my husband. By the time I got home, the sun had set. The house felt cold and empty, even though Mark was inside. I could hear him in the kitchen, the clatter of dishes as he made dinner. He must have thought I was at Emily's. I stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind me. Mark turned, his face lighting up when he saw me. "Sarah?" I was worried. "Don't," I said, holding up a hand. "Don't act like everything's fine." His smile faded. "What happened?" "I met Lisa today," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. "We talked." Mark's face went pale. "You spoke to her?" "Yes," I said. "And you know what she told me? That what you to have is real. That it matters." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, he looked unsure, almost afraid. "She wasn't sorry," I continued. "Not really. She just wanted me to understand that she won't let go of you." Mark ran a hand through his hair. "Sarah, I never meant for this to hurt you." "But it did," I cut in. "It is hurting me. Every day. Every time I look at you and remember what you've done." He stepped closer, reaching for my hand. "Please. Let me explain. Let me fix this." I pulled away. "How? How do you fix 7 years of lies? 7 years of choosing her over me?" Mark's shoulders sagged. I was weak. "I made a mistake. But I love you. I want to make this right. Love doesn't look like this," I said quietly. "Love isn't secret. Love isn't stolen." He opened his mouth to speak, but I turned away. "I need time. I need space. I can't be here right now." Without another word, I grabbed my keys and walked out the door. I drove until the city lights blurred into the darkness. My hands gripped the steering wheel, my breath coming in short, shaky bursts. Where was I going? I didn't know. But I couldn't stay in that house, not with the weight of everything pressing down on me. Eventually, I pulled into a rest stop, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. I turned off the engine and sat there, the silence deafening. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Emily. "Where are you? Are you okay?" I typed back. "I'm at the highway rest stop." "Not okay." Within minutes, her reply. "Incoming." She arrived 20 minutes later, her car pulling up beside mine. She got out, her face etched with concern, and wrapped me in a tight hug. "Talk to me," she said softly. And so I did. I told her everything of the meeting with Lisa, her calm defiance, Mark's desperate pleas. By the end, I was crying again, the tears hot and endless. Emily listened, her arm around my shoulders, her presence a steady anchor. When I finished, she took a deep breath. "Sarah," she said gently, "you deserve better than this." "I know," I whispered. "But it still hurts." "Of course it does," she said. "But you're stronger than you think. You don't have to stay in this." I looked up at her. "What do I do?" "You take it one day at a time," she said firmly. "You focus on yourself.